Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Oh. Welcome back. I thought I was saying back.
To where?
Icy hot.
Very good.
All right. Do you know what we're doing today? What's going on here? Why are there all these
doing?
boxes?
Shoes.
But why are there so many shoes?
Do you know where these shoes came from?
Lonely garage.
Do you know whose shoes they are?
Yours.
Yes, they are. Do you know why Daddy stopped buying shoes?
Because you have enough.
No, because you and Max were born. And I don't need shoes anymore. Not like this. So yeah, thanks guys.
Wait, so you don't need it? So you're saying they're going home with me is what I just heard. He doesn't need them
Yeah,
anymore.
no, they're not going home with you. The truth is we ran out of room in the condo. So the funny thing is all these pairs, there used to be a lot more. Everything had doubles because I bought everything, one to wear, one to stare, and the reality was I never wore any of them. So everything that we're about to look through, and honestly, like these have been in storage. How old are you now, Dylan?
12.
These have been in storage for 12 plus years. I think there's a few pairs that are probably newer and whatnot, but mostly everything else is super old. Or well, not super old, just early 2000s. Yeah, I wish I had some 80s in here, but I don't.
So how many pairs are we looking at right now?
I counted them when we had to fit them into the cars to get them over here, and I believe this is 93 pairs of shoes and 2 jackets.
And you already sold a whole lot at one point, so how many are you down from? If you would have kept them all, how many pairs would you have?
There were over 400 pairs in the heyday, I'd say. Actually sold a bunch of pairs to buy our first house. So it was 120 to 150 odd pairs, netted us our down payment for our first house.
Wow.
So this is literally what's left. Everything is a size 8, 8.5. That's what size I used to be. I'm a size 9 now. I'm gonna try to wear some of them. I'm not quite sure. Everybody's telling me with the dunk resurgence that there's some stuff that I should probably try and offload. A lot of these shoes, actually, interestingly enough, if you guys remember that store Foot Action.
Yeah.
So this was 2003. I think Foot Action was going out of business. They had a massive tent sale. So a lot of the basketball shoes that we see was really just going to Foot Action, and anything they had in my size, I just kind of took and kept what I wanted. And I mean, who knows? There's a lot of this stuff. These are all 8.5s and 9s, like I said. I have a bunch of 11 and 12s, which are my brother's sizes, but they're not giving them up. So I think I shot you some pictures earlier of my parents' house, and a lot of the Adidas boxes and whatnot. Those are 11 and 12s, and yeah, they belong to John and Matt.
Gotcha.
So yeah, do you want?
So you're basically a sneaker OG. So how?
I'm an original addict. That's probably the better way to put it. And Stacy knocked some sense into me.
I mean, so you know, I spent maybe 5 or 10 minutes earlier just kind of looking at some of these boxes and trying to find the pairs on StockX, and like they don't exist. And it made me realize that basically StockX, I mean, it's current, right? And so it has all the latest stuff, and it has all the stuff the kids know about. But like, there's actually a gap to be filled there because there's a lot of stuff here that it's just not aware of. So then I started searching GOAT, and GOAT has a bigger selection, but it's harder for me to actually be able to link them up because when you just have kind of the Nike description color codes, it's not the official name that sneakerheads have given to the shoe.
Right, and also what we found is a lot of the ones here that we're going to look through, they're originals, right, or they're vintage or whatnot. And when Nike retros them, you'll find the retros on those apps. And it's kind of funny because in one of the cases, so like the LeBron first games, which I have no idea how many times they retroed them, but I have the original pair from 2003. I actually have 6 pairs of them. So I think like 1 or 2 are here, but the rest are in other sizes. So I took the size that were mine. And they came with a card, and on the inside they're stitched 11/15/2003, which is his first game ever. And the retros, for whatever reason, go for more on StockX than the vintage. So that one they do actually have both. So I just think nobody knows about the vintage or the originals, or nobody has them because they worn them, or who knows what the answers are to that. But
So how did you? I mean, what drove your love for doing this? Like, how did you become an addict?
If my cousin Ryan is watching this, it's his fault.
How do we get him to watch it? Is that's like one subscriber to our 94? We'll have 95. Hey Ryan, where are you at? This is a shout out. You better subscribe to this channel now.
So, not really was I into shoes. So I'd say this was probably 2000, 2001. And I don't remember what I was in back then. Like, I think I was into watches or who knows what. And we went to London. So we went on a family trip. So our dads are twins. We went to Paris, and then he and I, because he was adamant that he and I take a side trip to London. And I'm like, sure, why not? Just you and me. So we left our parents, his sister, in Paris. Just him and I went on an overnighter to London. We were 21 at the time, who knows, something like that. And we basically went to Oxford Street, and he had to go to the Foot Locker on Oxford Street because there was a pair of Nike Dunk Celtics. So those are the green and white Dunks. He just kept saying Celtic. I had no idea what that meant. I don't follow sports, you know that. They're green and white Dunks, and we bought them. We probably each bought, I don't know how many pairs, broke up the boxes. I just flattened them out, fit them all in our suitcase, made it back, and at the time, I want to say we paid $100-$150 each for them, and on eBay they were going for like 3 times as much.
So what year was this?
2000, 2001.
So 20 years ago, the sneaker game still existed for all of you youngsters out there that think,
oh yeah, and
this is
he was
something
deep
new.
into it. He was deep into it, and he had a ton of shoes, and I think that was my first taste into it. And actually, I never fully thanked him, so thank you. I don't know if I should be thanking you. You should be apologizing me for making.
Hey, I heard
but,
I heard you got a down payment for a house. I think you should be thanking.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely thankful. But then, yeah, and that's kind of what. So with my personality, it's when I'm into something, there's kind of no stopping me, and there's no rhyme or reason, I think. So it kind of became that thrill of the hunt, and I think anybody who has any passion for collecting anything, a lot of it is that thrill for the hunt more so than having the actual item.
Oh yeah. So I broke these out yesterday for Halloween, and I was telling some other people that basically, these came out right before last Halloween, and I really wanted them. They're shattered backboard 3s, and they've got kind of a shiny patent leather type of look to them.
And a wrinkled look too. Yeah.
And a lot of people were clowning these shoes, saying they look like garbage bags, and I thought, well, that's great. That means I should be able to snag a pair easy. But no, they dropped. They were impossible to get. So I basically had to wait till after Halloween, picked them up in November sometime, and I got them for about $200. And I basically, I was like, I'm wearing them this Halloween no matter what. But I was curious what they were worth, and now they're worth $4. But the whole thing was, if it weren't hard to get in some way, if you didn't have to jump through certain hoops, it wouldn't be as fun to do what you do. Yeah,
or to wear them or anything like that. And let's make one thing clear. Anybody who thinks you can get into this game for money, don't do it. It's not worth it. But if you like the stuff and you enjoy having them, then it's all for it. I just want to put that out there.
It's funny because a lot of people are complaining, and I've noticed this too. It's the internet age, and with COVID, you're sitting at home and you're just clicking on an app. And the sneakers app, I haven't been able to hit on the sneakers app in like 8 months. I used to be able to get maybe 25% of the stuff I go after. I can snag a pair. But I heard you just hopped on a plane to London. You had to make some. You are people are at home in their bed complaining that they can't get the latest drop, but they didn't really have to put any effort into trying. They woke up at a time and clicked a button. You hopped on an airplane to another country. So
no, that's true. Actually, So when we unwrap this stuff, I don't know how long, if this is one episode or there's going to be a multitude of episodes, but there are stories with most of these shoes that is, if you were in the game 20 years ago, you'll appreciate it because I'm sure it'll bring back a lot of memories. If you weren't in the game, it'll be nice to know just how much harder things were. Like, I don't know, do people still camp out overnight for shoes?
I think some do. I think I would say the OGs.
Yeah, we're used to camping out, getting not even wristbands. They would hand out tickets or take your name. I remember my nephew Brandon, his parents called me because I was never a Jordan guy, and he was waiting overnight. He must have been like 12 at the time, like your age, Uncle Brandon. And I stayed overnight with him on Haight Street with him and one of his friends to grab these Jordan 13s, black and green. I think they were called Altitudes. And I showed them to a buddy not that long ago, and he was like, yo man, they retroed those 2 times already. I'm like, mother, jeez Louise, like, jeez. I just remember waiting overnight. So I think that's kind of part of it, is the thrill of the hunt. And if everybody buys to keep it to collect, then the game keeps going. Otherwise, if everybody buys to flip and sell, and I think this is part of why I'm not really into shoes right now, is all that's going to do is, like, the only person that actually wins are the brands because they can always make more.
Well, I was telling Tran about this, and this is, kind of, it's neither here nor there, but it is, I think, interesting. So Nike, I think, from a business perspective, is on top of their game.
Oh, yeah.
They can create hype around any shoe they want, and everybody is chasing the latest, greatest shoe. It seems like every week.
Yep.
Either every week or every other week, Nike has a drop that everybody wants to get their hands on. And so part of the problem there, ties into what you said. I think people want it because they've seen what you can do with resale, but not everything can be that popular, right? It's not sustainable over the long arc of time. And the other thing is, so Under Armour sees what Nike is doing, and they just announced they're going to make a move to shutter like 2,000 to 3,000 retail stores and try to pursue the online direct-to-consumer route. I was telling Tran, it works for Nike. I don't think it's going to work for Under Armour. I think they're going to save all this money on lease space, and then they're going to quickly realize they're not bringing in any revenue, because nobody. When's the last time you heard of an Under Armour drop you needed to have?
I don't know that Under Armour, and I mean, I don't know this, but I'm fairly certain Under Armour doesn't have the following that Nike has. They definitely don't have the history. Let's link it to cars. You and I both like cars, right? We're both Porsche fans. Porsche has a racing history. So, like, if you and I, which I think we're dope, and we can go make a brand new car, and I think people will like it. But the reality is,
we'll make a car that looks good that doesn't actually function. But
all show no go. That was my high school Honda Civic. Like, it was the best looking car. It didn't move fast, but it's okay. But without that race history or that following or going through all that, it takes time to build that up. So I think, to be fair, Nike has a 30-year head start.
Yeah, I think it's a very risky move on their part. So I'm actually very curious to see how that pans out. So what do you want to do here? How do you want to? Do you want to lead us through your collection, or
why don't we just unwrap them, and then we can try to separate them into Nike, non-Nike, and then within the Nike we can put all the SBs and the Dunks and the Air Force Ones together. Then I think there probably are a few Jordans, and then we can put everything else like on the side, and then kind of go through it that way. Yeah, sure. Let me
get some B-reel of kind of this. You have it wrapped up like a drug dealer would. So, before we really unpack scared. All of this,
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm super scared because Nike is not known for having good glue.
They're just going to fall apart.
In storage for 20 plus years, like, I'm kind of scared.
At least you did wrap them. At least you tried.
Yeah.